Okay, this video is going to give us an introduction into the jGrasp environment, which is what we're going to be using to write our programs in Java. And so you should also have, you should have jGrasp open, and you should have your notes up that look like this for Chapter 1 notes. And so we're going to look first at the jGrasp window for just a little bit. So on your notes there, you can go ahead and begin to label these three panes. We have a pane on the left, pane on up here, and a pane down here. It's the one on the left is called the left pane. It's also called the navigation pane. It's called the navigation pane because it's how you navigate from one folder to the next. And so what you can do is click on this button right here, this down pointing triangle, and it should take you to you can click on desktop, and in the desktop you should see a folder that you should have named earlier or created earlier according to the instructions is CPE docs. So you would open that, and then you should have a Chapter 1 folder, and you would open up that. So you want that to be open, and the reason is because when you write any programs now in Chapter 1, they will want to, by default, want to save into this folder, which makes it easier to save your documents. Okay, now I've opened up a document which you don't need to worry about yet, but we're going to name the upper pane here. It's called the upper pane, and it is also called a CSD window, CSD, which stands for Control Structure Diagram. This is the place where source code, this is called source code, this is where we type as the programmer, we type our source code. Now, what does CSD mean? Well, you're going to see this word once in a while, so I'm just going to show it to you. You don't have to necessarily memorize this, but see where it says generate CSD. Well, it generates the CSD, the control structure diagram, in the source code that you type. And so these are things that show you the structure pictorially as you write a program, which may or may not be helpful. So I'm going to remove it, and so then the pane at the bottom is called the lower pane, and this is where we're going to see the output to our programs. This is where you're going to get compiler messages down here, and so you'll see how this works later on. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you just to practice resizing these panes. So just grab this border here and notice how it makes the left pane, navigation pane, wider, which maybe you might want to do. And grab this one here. It's got a bunch of dots on it. And so sometimes you'll want to see the output window more, and sometimes you want to see the source code, the window for source code in the upper pane more. So you want to be able to do that. Then what we're going to do is, let's say that you're going to be asked to write a new program. And so what happens is you're going to go to File and New, and then Java. So if you ever have to write a program from scratch, go to File, New, and then Java. And what I need you to see is that make sure that the toolbar here is being displayed. So the toolbar. And if it's not, then you can go to probably View Toolbars in a single. That's all you need. Now, the other thing is, see if you have a 1 here. If you don't have a 1 there, then what you need to do is to click on this button right here. It's a number button, and that will show the number, lines numbered, and that's what going to be important to do. Okay, and then what we want to do is, what I'd like you to do is type the source code in, and don't save it. Just type what I have here on the screen, and I think it's on your notes as well. Yep, it's on your notes. Type it just like it looks. And basically, what's going to happen is you're going to, whenever you need to, let's see if I can take this out here. When you go from, I'll just show you this. You need to hit the tab key whenever you want to indent. So hit the tab key whenever you want to indent. Now you have to backspace in order to get to lower or lessen your indent. So do that. Okay, so you should have this already typed, and as we're going to go on here, on your notes, it'd also be good to label a couple things. So this line right here is called the class header. So public class hello printer, this entire line is called the class header. So you should write that on your notes. And then this right here, the very last word on the class header is called the class name. So that would be good to identify that. All right, so make sure you have those down there. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to, let me make sure about something here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to practice saving this program. So what you can do is just go ahead and click on Save or Save As. Now, since it's the first time, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I see why. Okay. To make this be like you guys, I'm going to go here to a new program. All right. So when you click on Save when you first do a program or a file, then notice then that it's going to your Chapter 1 folder by default because that's the one you have open on the left. And notice it uses the class name as the name of the file. So it's helloprinter.java because helloprinter is the class name. So go ahead and save that. And then what I need you to do is to notice the helloprinter.java button, the program button down here in the middle. You should see that. So here you can see what files you have open. So the important thing here is that what we find out is if you look here, you got the class name and the file name must be the same, exactly in spelling and in capitalization. Now the next thing we're going to do is compile. So what happens is this green plus sign, go ahead and click on compile. And what this compiler button does is it looks for errors. Now if you typed everything just great, you're going to get this 2-line message that's going to means that where there's no error messages, it's going to tell you that there are no what we call syntax errors and you're ready to run the program, but don't run it yet. Okay, the other thing to notice here, now if you made some errors, you're going to have to try to fix them, see if you can figure out what to do to fix them, but you have to get this to where it says these 2 lines here. And then now I need you to look in the left pane and notice that you have an added file, a .class file. So the .class file appears when you click on compile. It's produced when you compile the program. Now the compiler, what it did is it converted this source code into a class file. So go ahead and open up the class file just so you see how weird it is. So this is a kind of a file that you're never going to submit as far as your assignments go. But this is the kind of file that is produced by compiling your Java files. And we'll talk about this a little later. Now another thing is it's important to know how to close a jGrasp file. So we're going to talk about 2 ways to do that. So right here, let's take our helloprinter.class file here, look at the program button. So right click on the program button and click on close. And then another way to do this is click on, you have two, if in the upper right you have two X's. You take the lower X, click on that, and all that does is click or close the program file that you have open. All right, that you of the one that's open. So these are the way that this is the way, or two ways that you can close the file. And so you need to keep closing your files when you're done with them. Some students end up with 30, 40 or more program files that are open because they somehow don't remember how to close their files. So that'd be something good to do. So now what we want to do is reopen over here, reopen the helloprinter.java, because that's what we're going to work with. And we're going to show a couple of things that will happen that you'll come up with. So what we're going to do is go to Hello Printer, add a 1 to it, and then click on the compile button. Now this is going to be a message that you're going to get, so that's why we're going through this right now, so you understand this. You do not need to ask me what this means, because you will find out now. The main message of this says class, the class which is named Hello Printer 1, which, remember, that's the name of this class, is the last word in the class header, and it happens to have a 1, is public and should be declared in a file named helloprinter1.java. So if you look over on the left, you see you don't have a file named helloprinter1. So what this declared means is the same thing as saying this class should be saved in a file that's named helloprinter1. And so what we need to do is basically to save our file. So let's go to File and Save As, which is generally what you're going to use most of the time, so that you don't lose the original file. All right, so we don't want to lose the Hello Printer file. We just want to create a new file, Hello Printer 1. So you notice that by default it wants to name this file Hello Printer 1, and it wants to name it in the Chapter 1 folder, which is because that's open in the left pane. Okay, so click on Save, and now you have Hello Printer 1. Okay, and just to finish this out, what we want to do is just a couple of things that are good things to get used to is before you compile another file or another time within the same file, it's often a good thing to do to click on clear down here to clear your messages. That way when you compile it, you don't get it confused with other messages that have been there before. So go ahead and click on compile, and now as you can see, since we saved it as Hello Printer 1, now this is okay. And so now click on this running man here, this red running guy, and that runs it. And then you can see this tab Run I/O is now activated, and this is the output. This is the output window here in the lower pane, and so it's printing Hello World with an exclamation point. So that's how that works. So you can go ahead and we're going to go back to our notes now, and we're going to take a look at some answers here, or fill in. The code you typed as the programmer is called source code. And this is stuff that we've already said. And so, and then it says here, number 2, the class name and the file name must match. We demonstrated that already. In spelling and in case meaning course capitalization or not capitalization, uppercase, lowercase. By convention, in other words, what most programmers do is that as they use a class name, when they do a class name, it begins with a capital letter. And it uses upper camel casing. And so upper camel casing, basically what that means is, you see how here's the name. It starts with a capital letter, capital H, and uses upper camel casing, and that means when you have multiple words within the same name, we put them together with no spaces, and we capitalize each new word. So hello is capitalized and printer is capitalized. That's why we see each word clearly separated from the other one. Because B, legally, the name of any object in a Java program may not include a space. So you can't go hello space printer. It will actually give you an error message. Okay, and finally, what I need you to do is write down the meaning of the following error message. Should be declared in a file named hello printer1. So if you remembered that, maybe you remembered this, and if you didn't, here it is. Your file basically needs to be saved in a file whose name matches the class name, which is hello printer1. So should be declared in a file named hello printer1 means that you still need to save this file as hello printer1.java. All right, so that is the end of this section.